Syndicated presents Shep and Sean, featuring Matt Shepard and Sean Baligian.
So what is up? He is Shep. I'm Sean. Shep, I hope you had a wonderful 4th, man. I really do.
I did. I hope you did too. I'm not going to lie. When I start cooking, even though I don't cook like you, I grill like you, I should say, ribs and barbecue, when I'm over the grill, I do think, what would my friend Sean be cooking here today? How would he react to how I'm cooking this, being that he has the palate that every barbecuer and some type of rustic cook on the outdoor patio grill desires. So I hope you did too, bud.
I did, Shep. I did something. I'm really weird. I basically tried to do a filet mignon pie. It didn't exactly come into pie territory, but I bunched it together, right, like a pie. And I could send you the picture of it, and I put it on the grill, and I tried to like make it stick together, and then I was going to cut it like a pie, and it was just all filet mignon, nothing else, a little seasoning on there. It kind of stayed together, but didn't really stay together, but it was still filet mignon. So how do you lose?
Send a picture to Todd so we can put it on.
All right, I will do that. I will definitely do that.
How did it taste? More important,
you know what? Anybody knows this, Shep. You know this. Instead of getting the fillets, I basically got fillet tips. And so if you're going to do a fillet, 2 minutes on one side, 2 minutes on the other. I mean that's really the way that it goes. With this, I had to be a little quicker because they're tips. So basically it was the equivalent of maybe 10 fillets. So I had to be a little quicker to kind of keep it pink inside. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you've got to have fillets pink inside. My dad, when I was growing up as a kid, we didn't have many steaks. But anytime my dad cooked burgers, they were like hockey pucks. Steak,
oh, really?
Oh, my God. Steak, and you put A1 on it. It tasted like rubber. Everything was well done. Everything, Sean, was well done. I didn't know, and we didn't have steak a lot because we didn't come from a lot, but still, I didn't know what a good steak tasted like until I was deep into my 20s.
It's life-changing. I don't care what anybody says, really.
It is so good. I played golf with a guy today. I played a Detroit Police Department golf outing at the Cardinal in St. John's. Beautiful track. But I played with a guy who says, I said, can I get something at the turn? I said, can I get you a hot dog? Can I get you a burger? It's like, no, I don't eat meat. I froze for a moment. And I turned and I looked, I said, you don't eat meat? He said, no, I don't eat meat. I said, oh, brother, do you know what you're missing?
Right.
A good steak, a great steak that is cooked properly, tenderized, all that stuff. It is life-changing without a question. And I would argue, Sean, 2 other dishes. Really good ribs, that fall off the bone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my mouth is watering as we speak. And for me, a really good bolognese sauce on spaghetti is heaven to me. Give me those 3. I could rotate those with a few other dishes, maybe a chicken dish here or there, and I'd be happy as you could possibly believe.
Eric, hello to you. Shep, I couldn't agree more, but I will say this about ribs. I like a little tug, just a little bit, not too much. I like a little tug. Like if I do a good thing of Durocs for about 3 hours and 35 minutes, because if I want it fall off the bones, I'll just put a damn pork butt in. You know what I mean? So I want a little tug, but I could have, I would also throw brisket in there. Man, if you do a brisket right, forget it. Forget it. The burnt ends are so darn good, man. They really are. They're so darn good. Shep, by the way, only 24 Shep spaghetti. yeah, you could do that. You could do that. 24 days until the Lions. And I don't care if it's fake football or not.
Okay. I'm glad you brought that up. So the quarterback is out, Sean.
Yes.
On Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Kirk Cousins for a straight year. Love the guy. I mean, one of the nicest human beings on the face of the earth.
Really is.
Both of us would have our daughters marry him if he were available. He's that kind of guy. He has a multi-million-dollar player, over $100 million in his career, and he's had a really nice career. I wouldn't call him an all-time great. He's had a brilliant career, better than anyone would have thought. A little confused at why they would make it back-to-back years for him, because last year was his first year in Atlanta, so maybe that's why. Jared Goff is in it as well. I'm excited to see if Jared Goff is different than from what we see in interviews.
Shep, you know what's interesting about this, and I was having this conversation with some of the guys on Woodward. I wasn't a big fan of Hard Knocks.
Why?
Because it was made for television.
Well,
I think
later, or what about the first couple of seasons?
Later.
Okay, right.
It was made for television. I didn't think it was a real representation of what camp was at all. Yeah. And I think especially as the popularity and word of mouth grew, the guys knew when the cameras were on.
For sure.
And that because I remember Shep and you and I were working at the same place at the time when we would go out there like every day, and I'm talking the Mariucci era, right? What camp is and what they try to portray it to be are two different things. I like that aspect of the wide receiver thing, and I'm hoping that the quarterback thing is the same. Not the made for TV. Okay, this isn't really how it is, because I tell people that, and they're don't blow the image. Hard Knocks has been like the gospel for me, and I'm like, do you want me to lie to you? I can lie to you and say camp is exactly like that, but it's not.
Yeah, I agree. I think they play to the camera 100%. I'm all in on that. I thought the first couple of years were interesting. I thought it was more natural, but it's kind of like it's not quite this extreme. But when people tell me about Moneyball, it's like Art Howe never talked to Billy Beane that way. That is Hollywood-esque. I think Hard Knocks has become that. Now, I would say this: during the season, I think what they've done is brilliant. So they have obviously the preseason stuff, they have the off-season stuff, and the in-season. Last year, they went within the AFC North. To me, the in-season stuff is more natural. I think that's more real.
Yep. By the way, Todd, put that picture up for Shep. By request, by Shep. What do you think about that, Shep?
Oh, wow. That looks tasty. Is that on a plate or is that on a pie crust?
That was on the plate. I finagled a way to make them stick together. The issue that I had is when you're cutting it up, it didn't exactly stay like a pie.
Yeah. Is there a rub? What is?
I have Montreal steak seasoning on there.
Yep. It was good, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Fantastic.
What did you serve that with? Give me the full meal.
A side of meat, and then I had another side of meat, and then there was one more side of meat after that. No,
with meat of 3 is what.
Yeah. So with that, what I did is, we had the optional thing. We had the optional thing of, there was some bread. If you want to get some bread, you get some dipping sauce and stuff like that. Yeah. And then I did 6 racks of ribs. And then because all the little rats came over, I did like 3 packs of hot dogs. And I didn't do as many burgers, maybe 10 burgers. The kids just weren't requesting burgers. They wanted dogs and sausages and stuff.
So do you put any potatoes with that?
Oh, yeah. So there's potato salad, pasta salad. You know me. The wife handles the sides. For me, I'd have a side of Italian sausage and then a side of old world sausage and then a side of jalapeno cheddar sausage. Those are my sides,
Yeah, right.
Gordy said, my old man was a butcher and a great cook. I would come home to steak and tell him I already ate at the mall. It would drive him up the wall. I was just a dumb kid and didn't get it. I hope my own son doesn't.
He gets it now. Gordy gets it now.
Listen, Jack was like that. I'm telling you right now, Jack was Jack was totally like that. I would go, you don't like steak? Nah, Dad, it's not my thing. And I was like, oh boy, one day, young man.
Yeah. And it just clicks, right? Look, anything really good on the grill blows just about anything away, right?
Yeah.
I mean, give me that instead of a pan or all that other stuff. Like you want to finalize it in a pan in the oven real quick. I get it. But we had a steak with grilled onions the other day they were just cooked to perfection. My wife cooked these grilled onions that were just perfect. You don't need it. You don't need the whole steak smothered. At least I don't need the whole steak smothered in it. You give me that and a baked potato with a little bit of cheese and a little bit of bacon and then a hearty salad. I am in heaven. I don't need anything else. Okay. I'm fine with that.
I like mushrooms. I'm not going to lie. And I know mushrooms aren't for everybody, but you get that mushroom flavor in with that steak, man. I don't know what it is. There's something special about that. Our buddy Tom in London. Hope you guys had a great 4th. It was fun. As Eric said, all the little rats. You met the young kids, right? Yeah. We just kids showed up and I was like, what do you guys want? Can I have some more of that sausage?
Dude, your house has got to be the house that everybody in the neighborhood, every kid hangs out because they're going to get food.
It's funny, Shep. It just kind of happened. I don't know if any of your kids were like that. Like the weirdest one is Christmas Eve. Like the last couple Christmas Eves, like the whole family leaves. It's 11:30 at night, and then all of a sudden, and there's 10 of Lauren's friends at the door, and then there's 10 of Jack's friends. All right, let's fire it back up. It's 11:30 at night. The kids don't sleep, or the kids aren't up early anymore. So that's kind of what Christmas Eve has turned into. Yeah, I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I think that is so cool. My heart was warmed the other day. I had my middle son over. We had him over for 4th of July. We had a cookout, grilled some chicken and had some good food. And he was telling me, because he lives in an area where there's a lot of houses and there's kids, but he's like, Dad, I never see kids outside. And he said, I try to tell all my friends what our childhood was like. We lived in the back of a sub. And he said, I remember the day we played stickball all day, broom handle, racquetball, played it all day. Kids were coming from the entire neighborhood. He said, you fired up the grill. We had a bunch of hot dogs, had paper plates, but we kept the game going. He said, when the game was over, we all put on our rollerblades. And he said, and we played hockey in the street until it got dark. And then you pulled the car out and you put one car at one end of the street with the lights on and another car at the end of the street with its lights on. And we played 10 o'clock hockey.
It's great.
And people were coming out. He said, where is that in today's kids? And I said, I'm not going to put it all on the kids. I think some of it's the parents, Sean. I think it's, hey, what's ever easiest? I've had a long day. Here's your iPad. Yeah. I've had a long day. Here's the television set.
Right. Yeah.
Let the kids go out. My favorite saying, my kids didn't like it at the time, but they laugh about it now. Go get tired. Mm-hmm. And that's what I want to see kids doing. We live in a beautiful sub. You live in a beautiful sub. Where are the kids? What are they doing?
Yeah. I used to tell my kids all the time, go play in the woods.
Yeah.
Like, and they would go, well, what do I do in the woods? And I'm like, what do you do in the woods?
Explore.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Jeez. EJ, Sean, do those neighborhood kids ever steal from your money tree? I imagine that's a juicy target. They don't get an opportunity to because my kids rob me blind every day. Every single day. Gosh darn it, Lauren, I just planted a 5 tree. What happened? I don't know. Somebody always prunes it. So, EJ, unfortunately, that's a case. I want to get Shep. Let's talk about the Tigers a little bit. But first, let me tell you about Lindsay Broadwell. When it comes time to get yourself a house, whether you're buying, selling, you need to contact the right agent. Who do we recommend? That lady right there, Lindsay Broadwell. Your house is probably the biggest investment you'll ever make, and that's why you need a pro. Lindsay grew up on the mean streets of Northville, and she's expanded her team all over Southeast Michigan. An expert in all facets of the business. So when it's time to move, Lindsay and her team will make sure you get the most out of your house and everything goes smoothly when finding your new home. Buyer, seller, even first-time buyer, doesn't matter. They got your back. Just contact Lindsay at BroadwellHomes.com. She'll help you with everything from start to close. Licensed realtor at Real Broker LLC. Start your search today at BroadwellHomes.com. Yes, Gavin McKenna went to Penn State. I think a lot of people up in East Lansing thought that he would end up there, including perhaps his own teammate from the Western Hockey League that made his way. But Shep, it's a brave new world that we live in. I don't know the particulars, but I'm convinced that Pagula money had its way and had a big factor in Gavin McKenna going to Penn State.
Yeah, I think their style of play, Guy Godowski, I think really does a good job. I think it's a really nice arena. When I've called games, they're still looking for that character in the arena, but they've got beautiful amenities and they come out and support them. There's an environment there that makes you feel pretty good about it. So I get it. Big Ten hockey is really good, man. It's really strong. And there's a really impressive pipeline from the conference to at least the AHL. I would argue the NHL as well. That's one of those. It's an interesting debate. Would you rather play at a historic place like Mariucci Arena at the University of Minnesota? Or would you rather play in a place like Penn State? I think Ohio State's arena is really stale. I love what Michigan State has done to theirs. Michigan screams hockey to me. Wisconsin, I don't feel it for hockey. I think it's more of a basketball, but that crowd is not necessarily as raucous as a place like Penn State. Penn State can bring some energy. So if this young man went to a game there and felt that atmosphere, you can understand why. Absolutely.
It's gonna be really interesting too, because I think everybody knows he is considered by everybody to be the consensus number one next year. Some high praise. There have been a lot of number ones, but a lot of people are using the term generational about him.
Wow.
I would caution people at this juncture, while I'm not saying this would happen, I remember not too long ago, a lot of people out there saying it was a given that Shane Wright was going to be the number one overall, and he ended up going number 4. Now, again, do I think that's going to happen with Gavin McKenna? I don't. But it's going to be interesting because Shep, legitimately, the number one pick in all likelihood is going to come from the college ranks, and that's a change.
That is a change. I would also remind people there was a kid by the name of Alexis Lafreniere who was supposed to be a generational talent. I don't think he has turned out to be that. That's a lot of pressure going 1-1. But I remember you and I were hosting shows, and people in Detroit were upset that they didn't get that opportunity. And there's a really good defenseman, Rasmus Dahlin with Buffalo, who was supposed to be that second coming of great defensemen. I can't say that he's made the largest difference for the Buffalo Sabres organization either. Not that he's a bad player. I think he's a good player. But you've got, I think, a lot of people putting the cart before that proverbial horse when it comes to hockey.
Shep, you had an up close and personal look at this for a while. I hope I'm not overstating this. I think the fact that the Tigers went into Cleveland and swept the guards, and the way they swept the guards was important. This is a team that has had their number for quite some time. They really have. After the Tigers had ownership 10 plus years ago, I think Cleveland has found a way to use their voodoo and kind of own the Tigers. That, in my mind, Shep, and again, look, when you have the division lead that they do, it wouldn't have mattered a lot. But I think to maybe, I don't know, exercise a demon, so to speak, and go in there, especially the way they did it.
I don't worry about the Tigers if they happen to stumble and lose a series here or there. Little surprised that they lost a series to Cincinnati. Little surprised they lost a series to the Brewers earlier this year. Some people surprised that they split with Chicago. I'm always amazed at how many years we've watched baseball and we still don't always completely understand it. They'd only scored 14 runs in the previous 6 games against Cleveland until yesterday, and they explode for 6 in the 10th. But to your point, it's the way you win it. You're winning it when you're down to your last strike. You get an opposite field homer from a guy who hits a home run off a fastball for the first time in his career. Matt Vierling comes up with a clutch double. Riley Green, now 22 bombs, Sean, 2 shy of a career high from a year ago, and has really impressed. Torkelson did what he did the other day to help Casey Mize get a 1-0 win, and Mize is now 9-2 with an ERA of 2.63, and the Tigers are 11-4 when he starts. They're you know how you looked at a prospect or a player and you go, man, they've got that it factor. the Tigers have the it
Mhm.
right now.
Mhm.
And I don't think it's going to change. I'm not taking anything away from it. The division isn't very good. Cleveland's not very good. They've got a couple of players you'd like, but they're not very good. I mean, their catching stinks. Austin Hedges is good defensively, but he can't hit his, way out of a paper bag. Bo Naylor let that, you come in, you're catching Emmanuel Clase. It's cutter. He'll throw a slider, but it's cutter. That's what it is. That's what he is. That's why he led the league in saves each of the last 3 years and had 47 a year ago. And how does that go between your legs? I just don't understand that. It was a great move by McKinstry to get off and quickly get home. And then suddenly, things changed in the 10th. But there's something that they're doing. There's something about that team. Call it belief in one another, I suppose, that has just made everybody go, God dang, man, this team really is that good. And before people start to go, oh, look at the other teams, I think Houston's good. I've said Houston's good for a while.
Terrifying.
Some people have actually said, Houston stinks. What are you crazy? I mean, do you follow baseball at all? Houston stinks. But you're going to find teams struggling. Yankees lost 7 in a row. I don't know if people know this. They're now second to Toronto in the division. Mm-hmm. Houston's been really good. The Dodgers were swept by Houston most recently. Yep. This is going to happen, all right? It's how you respond to it. And the Tigers lose a series to Cincinnati, and look what they've done since. Good for them.
And it's very predictable. I mean, Stephen Kwan doing Stephen Kwan things, so you knew that he would do that. If that guy went away forever, I'd be really happy. And Shep, as you mentioned, I mean, who other than Trey Sweeney's going to come up and make that big hit for you, right? And we've come to expect that from him.
Didn't you have that on your bingo card?
I did. I love what Mark said. Almost as bad as the Metrodome. Listen, I would have given every money tree sapling I had to be the guy that pushed that dynamite down and blown up that house of horrors. That I saw way too many strange things happen in that place. That godforsaken stadium. I'm so glad it's gone.
I remember being there for a Vikings game, Lions-Vikings game, and doing the pregame on a local station in Detroit. And I literally said on the air, I said to Tom Lydon, I go, this is an absolute trash can of a building. It's an absolute, it's a piece of garbage. The people who, like the security and the people around were looking at me like they could not believe I was trashing. So I was done off the air. Some guys are like, hey man, that's not very nice what you said. I go, come on, man. You need a new facility. I said, you may have great memories. I said, but we could say the same thing about Joe Louis Arena. All right. Yep. I'm not being a hypocrite here. I've said that about Joe Louis Arena. I said it about the Silverdome. Loud, proud, fights, a lot of beer, a lot of really good times, good memories. Doesn't mean you keep it. This place is an absolute pit. Yep. And the guy's like, well, I guess you're right about that.
Yep. Absolute dump. Shep, I say it all the time, especially in the terms of Joe Louis. You won't find a Red Wing that will admit it to you publicly. You're going to have to trust me that they all hated the damn place too. You're just going to have to trust me because everybody's got their fond memories of the Joe and the Stanley Cups, and I get it. I respect it. I do. But, man, Mark asked a great question. Will Toronto fade? Shep, I don't know how they're doing it, especially with their pitching. I just don't. But they got a little something going on right now, and especially the heater that Springer's been on. My goodness gracious.
Yeah. Springer, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., they've been really good. They've kind of carried that team.
Yep, no doubt about that. Want to get some thoughts on some football coming up in just a second?
I do want to get your thoughts on if you think either one of these Tigers were snubbed for the All-Star.
All right, let me tell you about our buddies at Wealth Advantage Group. Those two handsome fellows right there. Belated happy birthday to the guy on the left, Mike Cusack, Jeff Cusack on the right. If you're ready to take charge of your financial future, those are the guys. Located in historic downtown Northville, the Wealth Advantage Group are guys that understand that you are unique. And that's why they offer personalized expert guidance to help you or your family navigate the complexities of financial planning. You're planning for retirement. You are just getting started. You're getting ready to sell a company. You're already in retirement. Whatever the case may be, they can help you out. They work with clients throughout all stages of life. They have clients in 20 different states. The investment world is a complex one. If you're ready to start taking your finances more seriously, call my friends. They have taken care of me and my family. They're great guys. They're friends of mine. The Wealth Advantage Group at 248-773-8574. Check out their website at www.thewealthadv.com. All right, all-star snub, Shep.
Okay, so just a couple of quick updates. Cole Keith goes to solo bomb. Zach McKinstry to solo homer. So Tigers are leaving Tampa, and Tampa's a good team. They are.
Yeah, very good team.
Their payroll is 26. They don't have anybody making over $13 million, and yet they are in the thick of things in the American League East. I don't know if you want to take that as far as the American League, but at least the American League East. Immediately, the two names that come to mind are Casey Mize and Spencer Torkelson. I'm not saying they both belong, but just hear me out. Mize at 9-2, 2.63 ERA. At the time of the All-Star selections, and Mize will, he'll get one more start before the All-Star break, I believe. Third most wins in baseball, same as Wheeler, same as DeGrom, same as Rodon, same as Nick Pivetta, okay? Seventh best ERA in the American League, 15th best WHIP. Impressive numbers, really impressive numbers. Who do you take off? I get why DeGrom is there. He's been outstanding. Brian Wu for Seattle, better whip, a little bit better WAR. You could make the case.
Right.
Okay? Spencer Torkelson, who along with Riley Green, as you know, has 20 homers or more before the All-Star break, just the third Tiger tandem to ever do that. The other two, Cecil Fielder and Mickey Tettleton in 1993, thanks Fruit Loops, and Rocky Colavito and Norm Cash in 1961. But Torkelson ranks in the American League 4th in homers, 6th in RBIs, 9th in slug, and 13th in OPS. That's pretty damn good, okay? Now, I get the swing and miss. If you're going to look at swing and miss, look at every All-Star, especially Aaron Judge. Torkelson's on Aaron Judge. A lot of swing and miss, right? I'm saying deserved to be in that conversation. Randa's been really good for Tampa. I get why he's there. Guerrero Jr.'s voted in. Okay. I hope people are taking notice of just how good these guys are. And it warms my heart that Tarek Skubal said as much after the game the other day. It's a proud moment for me. I'm glad I've got other teammates going with me. But Will Vest, Tommy Canely, Zach McKinstry, Spencer Torkelson, Casey Mize. Tigers, for being the best team in baseball. Dodgers have 6, Detroit has 4. Best team in baseball, you could argue should have another.
And Shep, you know what? I'm not going to argue with you, but can I tell you why I'm glad? I want the chip on their shoulders. I do. I want them. I want them to say, is it because we're Detroit? Is it because we're not supposed to be doing because I think Shep, and you had a good close up at this the past couple of years. They heard all the crap that people like me said. Okay, they heard that. Don't let the Tigers get hot. Oh, isn't that adorable? I'm gonna pinch your little cheek. Aren't you adorable? Oh, look at the Danny big boy taking his little first steps. And you know what? I mean, seriously, these guys have come up as a group together. They've experienced incredible lows. They've experienced nobody going to that park. And you know what? This is a tight group that's going to talk each other up and going to play for each other. And I think that's the part of this team right now that makes it so darn fun.
Agreed 100%. I talked with Nate Robertson earlier today, and he said this team reminds him of 2016. Because in 2003, they went through hell and back, It was really hard. And then in 2006, they could not wait to get to the ballpark.
Yeah.
And I think that this team is the exact same way. It's, oh my gosh, it's too bad the game is over. We're winning yet again. Winning does that. Look at it, Sean. Run differential, number 1 in the American League. I think that's a big stat. Road kills. They got 27 road wins. Sean, 2 years ago, they had 30 road wins the entire year.
It's incredible.
66 wins. They had 30 road wins. That's it. This year, they've got 27 already. No one's even close in baseball. So there's something special. They're winning with a lot of different ways, which I love, with a lot of different players. I know people want them to do something. And I think that's always our nature. And I think you and I would probably hope that they do something. I'm not sure they need the biggest major move that we originally thought. maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago.
I think that's fair. Yeah. I think that, Shep, like we were talking about a few weeks ago, it's funny, and the who always comes up, and it's like, I don't know if we're ready to have the who, because who's going to be available, okay? Ideally, another arm in the pen. Well, yeah, get in line. I was worried about a number 2 because I still have a lot of misgivings about that Flaherty fella. I'm just going to leave it at that, okay?
Sure.
Hey, you paying attention what Casey Mize is doing? Shep just threw those numbers out there. I think that's a pretty good 2. Hey, how about Reese Olson? Okay, if you have to do that, and so I think as things go on, of course, yes, I'd love a third baseman. Yes, I'd love another guy, coming out of the pen and everything. But I don't think they're in the we need to do something major boat either. I really don't.
I agree. If you filled in the back end of your rotation, I'd feel better with a starter. There's no question. But I wouldn't surrender an awful lot to get one. I'd love to get Fairbanks out of my bullpen from Tampa. I would love a guy like that. I don't know if Tampa would get rid of him, but to me, that would be ideal. I think now, when you and I spoke of this a little bit more than a month ago, I rated third base as the number 1 priority. It would be the third of the 3 for me.
I think so too. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I want to get some thoughts on the lines again. 24 days away, we get to watch fake football. I think it's fantastic. But let me tell you a little bit about Legacy Partners. We've talked about them. Why haven't you called them yet? These guys are saving people money. They are helping families out, just like mine. And you know what? They're proactive about it. Our friends at Legacy Partners are one of Southeast Michigan's top independent insurance agents. They provide a full-service, one-stop solution for all your needs. This is a true story. I said it like a month ago. They call you to let you know if there's something in the road. What's that bump in the road? Well, Alex Giulio called us, told us, said, do this, boom, boom, boom. You can still save money. They help our listeners by fixing mistakes other agents have made. Chances are, if you haven't checked your policies in the last year, you are probably paying too much and you could be underinsured. What are you waiting for? Doesn't everybody want to save money and make sure they get the right coverage? These are guys that will help with your home, your car, life insurance, Medicare enrollment, heck, your business insurance needs. Call them today, 586-209-4106, or visit legacypartnersins.com to get started with your new quotes. Shep, I don't miss the days where guys like you and I would go out to camp day one and we were talking about all the jobs that were up for grabs, okay? That's how, poverty franchises live, okay? Mm-hmm. And for years, we had to do that. It is fascinating to me as we sit here 24 days before the first game and not too far away from the camp starting, really and truly, how many jobs are available right now? And I know everybody's going to talk about the backup quarterback, but starting jobs, it's a wonderful place to be in, and a testament to what Brad Holmes has done with this roster.
Yeah, I think there's 3 important jobs that are available, and that's both guards and the center. I'm not going to lie, I'm a little worried about it. I would love there's still a free agent out there by the name of Brandon Scherf, who 10 years, solid, still a good pass protector. I would love to see, and I get they've groomed guys. They've groomed Christian Mahogany. They've drafted Tate Ratledge and Miles Frazier for a reason. I think it's fair to be slightly concerned about the level of drop-off between Frank Ragnow and Mark the X, whoever that may be.
Whoever it will be.
Yeah. Even it may be Graham Glasgow, because you would figure they would slide him in. Then suddenly you're left with 2 rookie guards that I think is a little bit of a bigger adjustment than any of us would expect. I'm not expecting them to be the same line as they were a year ago. And then suddenly all it takes is one injury to Taylor Decker, and you've got 4/5 that are in new positions, okay, on new faces. A Brandon Scherf, to me, would be a little bit of a cushion, a welcoming pillow to lay my head on a little bit to make things a little bit better. We'll see. I hope I'm wrong about that, and I hope Tate Ratledge is as good as his second-round status would deliver. I hope Graham Glasgow looks at his challenge and says, I can still play this game. I'll show you. I hope Christian Mahogany says, I learned a lot last year from Kevin Zeitler, from Frank Ragnow. I'm ready to assume the role. That would be ideal. Those 3 positions, and I think they're as important as any position on the football field, that concerns the hell out of me.
Hey, listen, if you haven't figured out yet how important the trenches are, you aren't paying attention to football, man. I don't know what to tell you. The Philadelphia Eagles, in my mind, Shep, took a hammer and pounded that nail in one more time with what they did. And ask Patrick Mahomes. I mean, it's funny. The 2 Super Bowls that Patrick Mahomes lost, the one commonality is him running around like a chicken with his head cut off because his offensive line couldn't protect him.
That's right. That's right.
It's just the way it is, man.
I get why everybody wants the sexy wide receivers and the running backs, and because you want to watch the ball. Give me the guys who blow snot in the huddle on a regular basis and don't care if they get injured, don't care if they get interviewed. All they care about is getting a win, going in, showering, getting dressed, and getting the hell out of there. Those are the guys that make your heart run.
Good point, Kevin. Competent, sustainable baseball. Lions model of delivering a good product to watch. Shep, to your point, and I'm gonna throw this out there. I agree with you about the line. I mean, I know we talked about it. You can't just take off a guy that people around here were saying was the best center in football. You can't just take him off the roster and go full slapdick and go, no, everything's cool, man.
Right.
Wait, time out. We were arguing that this guy might be the best center in football.
Not to mention the all-pro guard that was next to him.
Right.
Was an all-pro. Right. And I'm not smart enough to know this. How much did Frank Ragnow cover, or how much did he need covering? Could be how much was he helping Graham Glasgow? Mm-hmm. How much will that center now have to help a right guard? If you've got 2 rookie guards, and let's face it, if Christian Mahogany wins the job, it's still rookies. I mean, he hasn't started that much, right? He started 2 games, I believe. This is not a feel-good, let's put Dan Skipper in for a couple of games and see if he catches a touchdown pass, right? Yeah. These are the maulers. These are the guys who have to shed and get to the second level and spring Jahmyr Gibbs. Hold them off for Jared Goff. It changes a lot if they can't get that job done.
And you know what? I guess my mindset has been this is going to be a work in progress. What it is at the beginning and what it is at the end might be 2 different things, because the old saying, well, you aren't a rookie by the time week 10 rolls around, week 11 rolls around, et cetera, et cetera. And I think cohesiveness means something. And I think that's been one of the strengths of this Detroit Lions team, and they don't have that cohesiveness right now. I mean, that's just reality.
Schedule, dude. I mean, they got the second toughest schedule in all of football.
Do you think? Do you think that? And I'm a firm believer, and I know there are always exceptions to the rule. If your starter goes out, you probably don't have a chance. I know there are some minor exceptions to the rule over time, but overall, that's the thing. Do you think that Hendon Hooker eventually wins that job, Shep, or is the writing on the wall?
Here's what concerns me a little bit, and I'm not going to sit there and claim to be best friends with Mark Brunell. When the quarterback's coach, when your team is on the cusp of doing something special like they did a year ago, and they have to go out and get a former high school football coach to come back, that scares the hell out of me.
You got it.
So there's no Teddy Bridgewater. How did he not hold off Teddy Bridgewater, who came in after, having orange slices at halftime and donuts afterwards because the team wanted to go out for pizza and because they just won a state championship? How in the world does that guy come in here on a whim's notice and beat you out and take those snaps? That scares the hell out of me.
Shep, I said this on Woodward the other day, and I think you and I are I think they went out and got Kyle Allen for a reason.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same reason that they got Teddy Bridgewater. I really do. I think the guy's days are numbered. Who knows? Maybe the decision is not already made. I have a feeling the decision is already made.
I think he can change their mind. I hope they give him the leeway to change his mind, but just bringing in a guy like Kyle Allen tells you an awful lot, I think.
Yep.
And I don't want to use the sexy phrase of lighting a fire under his ass, but
yeah,
I mean, if Hendon Hooker isn't smart enough to recognize what's going on over the last year plus, then maybe he doesn't belong in this position in the first place.
A guy who didn't play football for months and was coaching football just a couple weeks earlier basically replaced you as number 2. That is an inferno. Okay. I mean, come on, man. That's an inferno. Hey, before we get out of here, All About Catering LLC, full service caterer, graduations, weddings, bridal showers, corporate events, anything you need catering for from 25 to 4,000 people. All About Catering can and will take care of you. Rick and his staff, customer service and satisfaction is their number one goal, and they provide it. So do not sweat your next big event. Just go to allaboutcateringllc.com today to see their menus and all the 5-star reviews. Give them a call, 586-731-1398 to get your event started. Bryson said, I think this would be a great year to have a badge here. Pick up Arch. You guys are great. Thank you very much. Shep, we'll talk in a couple weeks because I'm going to be in Greece on Wednesday.
I want pictures. Will you just do me a favor? I mean, bring back a few so we can check it out, because that's one of those destinations that I want to take my wife and my family. That would be awesome. Well,
Shep, you know how that works. The only pictures I'm going to be taking is of the food that I eat. Here's the giant gyro, and then I ate.
Put Kristen on for a minute.
I can do that. I can do that. I can do that. Okay. Take care. We'll talk to you in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, Todd.
God bless you. See you guys later. Bye-bye.
Shep and Sean, featuring Matt Shepard and Sean Baligian. Executive produced by Sean Baligian and Todd Losey. Theme song, incidental music, and related sound effects are from Still Alive by Anti-Ghost. Engineering, mixing, and graphic design support provided by the Unsyndicated Podcast team. Don't forget to like and subscribe on all your favorite channels. While you're there, be sure to rate and review the podcast. Call the Unsyndicated hotline at 248-237-3257.
Don't say